Let's come to this. The Independent Electoral Commission is continuing with preparations for elections next year, but it does so with an eye on the pending Constitutional Court decision on seat allocations for independent candidates. While the IEC is rather anxiously waiting for the court to make its ruling and is concerned that the delay may impact its readiness for next year's polls. Well, IEC Chief Electoral Official and Officer, that is Mamabolo, joins me now to answer this and many other matters, of course, related to elections. Mr. Mamabolo, thank you so much for your time and a very warm good morning to you. We've all been following through with the Concourt and, the matter regarding seat allocations for independent candidates, but I'm sure you are keeping a closer eye as the IEC. Take me through what your concerns may be regarding the state of readiness and preparedness should, of course, the courts delay its process.
Well, our attitude is that the court must be given the space to consider the issues inherent in the dispute carefully, and the space for them to consider all possibilities and arrive at a hopefully a judicious outcome. I think engaging in a speculative exercise is not in the interest of creating a climate for a proper adjudication of the matter. So we really want to give the court the necessary space for them to consider the matter. At a point where the court has fully considered and they're ready to issue judgment, we will look at and see what impact that has on our preparations.
But as it stands, how are your preparations? I mean, how is the IEC doing in terms of being ready for the 2024 general elections?
Well, we're doing well in terms of our logistical preparations. In fact, most of our logistical supplies for the registration weekend, which is announced for the 18th and 19th of November, are in place. We are currently finalizing the training of staff so that people can be received in a climate of professionalism, well-resourced registration stations, and so on, so that people come in, get registered, check their details, and leave the voting station without any hindrance. So on that score, we're doing quite well. The issues that may remain a challenge really relates to how many candidates are going to be participating, how many political parties are going to be contesting. We've gone out to consult the public on the deposits that must be levied, and we've received substantial comments, which is now being considered by the Commission. And once they've considered and made a determination, we'll announce what the quantum of the deposits is going to be. And that, I'm sure, will have a bearing on how many people are able to enlist as candidates in this election.
But also under the same breath, Mr. Mamabolo, what are your arguments in the Concourt as you oppose the ICA's application for the Amendment Act to be ruled unconstitutional, irrational and inconsistent with the rule of law because of the restriction placed currently on independents with regards to contesting the National Assembly seats? What was your stance and your arguments in the Concourt?
No, it is not correct that we opposed. We didn't. We abided the decision of court, but filed an explanatory affidavit. And the reason we did is because the court had previously indicated that it is important that when matters involving elections are considered by the court, the views of the Commission must be brought to bear on that adjudication process. But here's the issue. It is not correct that the revised electoral system does not avail itself for the participation of independent candidates. It does. Independent candidates will be allowed to contest the regional seats to the National Assembly. There are 200 seats reserved for that purpose. They'll be contesting together with political parties. The quota per votes that is necessary to gain a seat will be applicable for both independents in the same way as it is for political parties. So the requirements to win a seat, therefore, are identical in respect of an independent candidate as it is for a political party. So the terms really of winning the seats are identical for those two different types of candidates. Now,
Right.
there's also another misnomer, Tumelo, that people are saying the votes for the excess votes for independents are going to be given to political parties. Again, it is not so. Remember that an independent candidate is one person.
Right.
It's a person who has elected not to associate and not forming or not being part of a political party. And for that purpose, they want to bring their skills, their energies, their vision to bear as an individual. So when those people win enough votes to get a seat, they do get allocated a seat, and their excess votes are disregarded because they can't be taken any further because they are just one person. But
Right.
it is not correct that such votes are then being transferred to a political party.
And I think it also reminds me of the question that was further posed, by the Chief Justice Raymond Zondo in the Constitutional Court, that should there be 401 entitled candidates to only 400 available seats, would you then, as the IEC, be able to intervene?
No, we can't.
Yeah.
And the reason we can't is because there's a constitutional bar to the number of seats in the National Assembly. The Constitution sets a finite number of 400 for the seats of the National Assembly. It is therefore important, and that's the argument that we placed before the court, that whatever electoral system is put in place and whatever configuration in the distribution of the number of seats between the regional component and the proportional component, it must not be such that it results in an overhang. An overhang arises where you have to allocate more seats than you have them available. The very example that you put, there are 400 seats in the National Assembly, but when you take account of the need for the need to give every party its proportionate allocation, you've got to do 401. That will be a very untenable situation. So the configurations must be such that they don't lend themselves to that phenomenon eventuating.